Okay.
We are live.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am sitting here with Wendie Valdez. She is the owner of Wendie Beauty. She is a self-employed badass at making women look beautiful.
Yes.
And men,
And men too.
making anybody look beautiful.
Making anybody look and feel beautiful.
Love it. So I am excited to have you on the show because aside from you doing what you do on the is esthetician, is that the right word?
Esthetician.
Esthetician.
Yes.
Aside from you doing that for a living, you're also somewhat of a life coach to your clients. You're also somewhat of a, I know that you deal a lot with energies and you deal a lot with helping people out with more than just their physical problems.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really want to know what kind of magic you got going on in your studio that people come out feeling and looking better.
Well, I think it's not so much magic. It's a little bit of magic, but I think I mostly focus on how can I not just make my girls feel beautiful, but how can I help them better their life in general? How can I help them feel better inside? Because I think as women, we just have so much competition going on constantly, and it's so unhealthy. And so, yeah, that's one of my main focuses.
Hell yeah. So you're not from here.
I'm not from here, no.
I think first time we spoke, you mentioned you were from the Bay Area.
I am
You,
proud.
you've got to excuse my my obliviousness to California and geography. Where exactly are you from?
Northern California. So I am in the South Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area. San Jose, go Sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up in the South Bay.
How'd you end up here?
To be honest with you, I can't even answer that. It was just random. It was random. I didn't want to move. I knew that I wanted to get out of California because I feel in order for you to be able to come up quicker, you have to make sacrifices. So to me, one of the biggest sacrifices was to get out of expensive ass California, go to a place that I could afford, build, and eventually end up back in California. That's the ultimate goal. But I ended up here just by driving out to Tucson, and we drove into Oro Valley, and I was just like, you know what? I love the mountains. I love the vibe. I want to live here. I didn't want to live in Phoenix. Phoenix is so crowded. It was going to be California all over again, and I didn't want that. So I wanted to be away where I can really focus on my own personal growth.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Tucson's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I love it here.
Yeah. Oro Valley?
Oro Valley, yeah, in between. It's considered Tucson where I'm at, but you walk a few stops and you're in Oro Valley.
Where's your beauty shop?
That is in close to La Encantada Mall. So what is that considered, that area? It's right across
like
the street.
Foothills?
The foothills,
Foothills
yeah.
area?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. So
I love that area.
So tell us what you do. Like, what is it? I know that beauty is an ever-grown industry, and it's the projections in the next 5 years in that industry are insane.
Enormous, right?
It's ridiculous.
It's
so,
booming.
yeah.
I always say this. I say this all the time. Like, this industry is just so beautiful to be a part of. So what do? I do lash extensions. So, I mean, that's what I do is lash extensions, and I incorporate a lot of light work if my clients are willing to allow me to do light work, readings and things like that too. And I'd like to incorporate a lot more, but I feel I want to perfect lash extensions. I want to be the best at it. So, and I don't know, I love what I do. So I'll grow eventually.
So I know that you're not physically doing it, but can you explain to me like the process of, because I know that's a very popular thing right now. What's in with is the eyebrow threading.
Yes.
And
permanent makeup.
Permanent makeup. Is that a thing?
That is a thing. It's semi-permanent now. It's not like it used to be back in the days where you get those permanent brows and then they end up fading into like red or blue. It's a whole new ball game, you know. But yeah, back to your question.
How do you do that? Like, what do you do to people? Do you shave off their eyelashes? What's up?
I love that. No, we work with what you already have. So it's depending on what my girls are looking for. So a lot of my older clients are looking to just mainly the main goal here is to not have to wear as much eye makeup, to feel beautiful. Because lash extensions enhance your entire face. You don't need that much makeup. So I think that's the ultimate goal, is having more time in the morning, not have to worry about putting on 20 million coats of mascara, jumping out of bed and being ready in 30 minutes and being able to sip on your coffee and journal in the morning instead of having to worry about doing my face. I think that's the main thing that all the girls that come see me, that's their main goal.
Honestly, like, mad respect. I don't know if I've said this in any other episodes, but mad respect for women again, because not only do you guys, I mean, the cards are already stacked against you guys, right, from the get-go. And on top of that, for you guys to compete with other people in regards to like wages, jobs, opportunities, you guys have to work like twice as hard just to get ready to go to work. For instance, like, let's just say we take two people that do the same profession. You take a girl and a guy, and they both, I don't know, they do mortgages. The guy just has to wake up fucking half an hour early, put some clothes on, get to work, and he's good. But the girl, mad respect, most of them wake up 2.5 hours earlier just to get ready, to look presentable at work. And I'm just like, mad respect, yo.
I love that. I love that, because I think all men should go home and tell their wives that today. Yeah. Come on, guys. Please do that. You
got to really appreciate the amount of effort that a woman takes on a daily, like even just to go to the grocery store, right? If they really care about, their physical appearance and they want to look presentable in public, though there's two types of people, the people that don't give a shit and the people that do, right? Unfortunately, nowadays, most people do, right? Give a shit about what people think about them when they see them in public. Mad respect to women, because, I mean, even to go to the grocery store, I'll see my wife, getting ready, and it'll take her an hour just to get ready. Yeah. And guys, we have it so fucking easy. I just throw a hat on. Just throw a hat on, get the fuck out, and you're on your way. Like, you'll be ready in 5 minutes. And I think a lot of guys don't understand that women, I mean, if they don't do this routine that might take 2 to 2.5 hours, they're going to feel extremely self-conscious no matter where they go. Yeah. So mad respect to women. Not just that, like the attire that women have to wear to be considered appropriate at a workplace, for instance. Like high heels, for instance, like I know they're uncomfortable. I don't care. Like when my wife says, when we're shopping for shoes, her excuse is always because she wears a size 4.5.
She's tiny. I love that.
Yeah. So like when we're shopping for shoes, if I see a pair of shoes that might fit her, I just literally, because her foot is the size of my whole hand from there to here. And I literally just put it in and I'm like, yep, this will fit her. Right. Yeah. So whenever we see shoes that actually fit her, she says we have to buy them because they're meant to be. And then she'll go, oh, these are so comfortable. And I'm like, what the fuck? No, there's no way those shoes are comfortable,
You'll be surprised, though. Like, most of my shoes are comfortable.
Really?
Yeah.
Heels?
Heels. Oh, I've been wearing heels since forever. And if I'm not wearing heels, I feel like I'm missing something. Tucson, though, has really humbled me. In California, it was ridiculous. But you wouldn't even see me go to Walmart without heels. It sounds ridiculous, but that's the truth.
Really?
That's the truth. Now that I've been in Tucson, I used to get so dressed up everywhere that I go. And I still do, because I'm in the beauty industry and every woman you see out there is an opportunity to hand out my card. So I always have to look presentable no matter where I go. But it's definitely brought me down to where I don't feel like I have to be so dressed up all the time, because Tucson is so laid back.
Super
laid back. But I think it's humbled me so much where I don't feel like I have to look a certain way. I just want to look this way. Not in California, I was like, oh no, I have to look this way, because everyone out there just looks like a supermodel, you know?
Yeah.
So you're always you know, I always talk about this. Women are always in competition with one another. We're always in competition with one another. And I think that's the reason why. But for me personally, it's because I'm in the beauty industry. So I have to look a certain way. If I want girls to come and see me, you know, I can't be looking like a bum.
You gotta look the part.
You got to look the part. Like Dan, I don't know if you follow Dan Peña, but he talks about that a lot, where he's always in a suit. And I love him. He is from LA and he's super hood. So he lives in Scotland somewhere in this fucking amazing castle. So he's definitely someone I look up to, and he just doesn't give a shit about what anybody thinks.
Is he Mexican?
He is Mexican. He's Mexican American. So follow him. He's amazing. And he just has no filter. And I feel like, wow, if he made it, then shit, you know, we come from similar backgrounds, so I'm gonna make it too.
So what inspired you to get into the beauty industry?
I've always loved the beauty industry. I've always had a passion for it. I always was the one that had to get all my tias ready. Hey, tias. I was always the one that had to rush to get ready because I had to get my mother ready. I had to get my tias ready. I had to do their hair, their makeup, everything. And I would always have to rush and get ready. So it takes me like 30 minutes to get ready now. I've gotten pretty good at it now.
Well, when you do it for a living, you
have to, yeah. But I've always had a passion for the beauty industry just because of the aesthetics of it. Just being able to make other people feel beautiful. And now that I'm older, I realize like, wow, I'm not just a part of the industry to make them look beautiful, but to help them feel beautiful as well. Yeah. Because it goes hand in hand. You have to be able to feel good inside as well, because you're going to continue to be on the pursuit of beauty on the outside. But if you're not feeling beautiful on the inside, then you're always going to want more and more and more and more. Does that make sense? So,
yeah. And that's when you start getting plastic surgery and shit. And
yeah.
Which I mean, I don't think, and I know to each his own, and I typically don't judge anybody, but I mean, like you don't need to make any alterations to your face. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I don't think there's absolutely anything wrong with plastic surgery. I think for maintenance, you
like
know?
Botox and shit.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with maintenance.
See, and that's the one rule that I have with my wife. I'm like, you can touch any part of your body. Do not touch your face. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the one thing that I don't think should be changed, man. Because over time, and you look at all these, and they had like even some of these models that or actresses that had great facial surgeries at the time. Mm-hmm. They get older, and you're like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? You're like a la verga.
Yeah. ¿Qué pasó?
Yeah, and then I guess the question comes out. I mean, was it worth it? Like as far as like, I mean, boob jobs, butt jobs, lipo, all that shit, maintenance, Botox, all that shit's cool. But like once you start doing like fucking like facelifts and cheekbone reconstructions and all this stuff, like I think people should just work with what they got and make that beautiful. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to literally trying to remodel that fucker and gut it out. Like there's no such thing as a total gut job. And and honestly, in my personal opinion, and I hope we don't disagree on this, but I think for you to actually have like facial reconstruction, there's got to be something wrong mentally for you to be that self-conscious about it. You know what I mean? As opposed to either embracing it. Because I know there's women that, I mean, man, let's take, what's her name? Lizzo, for instance. Yeah. That's an example of one confident fucking woman, man. She's out here in fucking bikinis and jumpsuits showing her nalgas. And le vale verga, you know?
Exactly. But that's beautiful because she doesn't care what anyone else thinks.
I love that.
And I think that's also what I'm pushing towards, and it's taken me so long. I mean, when I was living in Oakland, I used to model, and at that time I was very young. I was in my early 20s, and I felt like I had to look a certain part. I had to be a certain way to get these gigs, right? So that's all I had to offer. I was so emotionally beat up from my past, and I don't know, subconsciously I would absorb everything around me, and I beat myself up so much. Now I'm in my 30s and I realize that Wendie was just so depressed. So yeah, I might have been beautiful and physically at the best shape of my life, but I was so unhappy that I made myself so sick and depressed and anxious that by the time I was 26, I hit my lowest of my low. And I had to do something to get myself out. I had to figure out how to get out of it, because I was at the point where I was like, well, I don't even want to wake up tomorrow. Like, if something happened and I was gone, everything would be fine. And that was absolutely the time where I realized, like, wait a second, I'm really feeding into these demons. Like, what is going on? I need to fix it. And that's when I started trying to figure out, how can I help myself get out of it? Now that I'm 30, I realize, wow, after doing surgery myself, I realized, like, wait a second, I need to learn how to love myself. I need to stop constantly looking through social media and seeing these beautiful women and with their asses done and everything done. And, oh my God, I don't have any of that, or whatever, No, I had to take a step back and see what was going on within myself to fix it and stop looking outside.
So you think your pursuit, is that what you wanted to pursue as an early age? Like, you wanted to be a model?
I always said I was going to be a supermodel.
Be a supermodel.
Yeah.
And do you think that, like, that pursuit of it is what caused you to spiral into that, into the way you were feeling at the time? Like what, explain to me, like, what it is. Cause I of course, I'm very empathetic to all sides of any story. Right. So when somebody, like, let's take, for instance, a person like Selena Gomez, who my wife fucking hates. I secretly love Selena Gomez. She's been my crush since Wizards of that Wizard show on Disney. Right.
Yeah.
And more so because there's a Mexican American, right? Yep. This cute Latina chick that's blowing up on Disney Channel right now. And anyway, she doesn't like her because of how often she tends to victimize herself and all this stuff. But I always try to understand exactly what it is that person is going through. That person might be mega famous, right? Might be super fucking rich. But I'm always curious as to how this person feels, and more so why they feel that way. And I can imagine once you get to that certain level of stardom, you're just a fucking rag doll that, whoever owns you, right, is just tossing you around, and you're probably sick of doing interviews, and you're probably sick of press releases, and you're probably sick of this and that. And
well, you get lost in that life. Not that I ever made it to nearly the fame that she was in, but I think you get stuck in your own mind trying to be something that you're not. And
right.
That's where the depression comes in. That's where the anxiety comes in. That's where you're all like, wait a second, is this what my life is going to be? Because I'm not fulfilling my purpose, and I think for me, is
that when you kind of took a step back and you were like, is this really what I want to do?
Yeah. Like, there's so much, there has to be more to life than this. And I grew up always listening to life's a bitch and then you die. Life's a bitch and then you die. And it's like, wait a second. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'll be damned. I need to fix that. I need to find a way. I need to find a way to help others not fall into that.
I fixed that saying, by the way.
Tell me.
I just started saying life's my bitch.
Oh, I love that. That's what I said on my drive from San Diego to Tucson. I said, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice living in paradise. And as I'm driving, I said it out loud. I don't know how many times. I'm going to make Tucson my bitch. I'm going to make Tucson my bitch the entire ride out here, because I wanted to leave everything in California and just start fresh here.
Yeah.
And so the entire drive, I was like, I'm going to love Tucson. I'm going to meet the most amazing people. I'm going to hit the highest I've ever been is going to be in Tucson. I'm going to make shit happen in Tucson.
Hell yeah. And you can. For anybody that's listening that is outside of the state of Arizona and don't know what Tucson is, look this shit up. You guys might want to take a trip out here. It's a cheap vacation, a cheap little getaway.
It's cute.
But I do warn you, if you do come out here and visit, odds are you're going to start crunching numbers on how much it's going to cost to move out here. Most people that come out here to visit Tucson end up staying here, which is what's caused, because we don't get that much national attention. Tucson does. Phoenix does. We don't get that much national attention. So when people do come to Tucson, they're like, what the, like, this place is great.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
It's so cute. And what I love about it is, so me, my family, we always try and make time to go explore these tiny little towns all over. And I feel like they've kept the essence of the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
In all these little towns. I mean, I'm talking about Bisbee and
Tombstone
and Tubac. Is that what it's called? I don't know how to pronounce. Yes. Well, all those little towns, they're so adorable. I just love to cruise it out here because it's the wild, wild west. It's like the cowboys. I don't know shit about country music. All my clients are always trying to get me to listen to country. I don't know shit about it. But, you know, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, that you guys keep it alive, and you go to these super old bars with the ceilings. You can just tell they're from the 1800s. And to me, like, I absorb all that energy. I know I had a past life, probably, who knows, in the wild, wild west, probably, who knows. But
you believe in reincarnation?
Hell yeah.
You do?
You kidding me? We don't ever die. The essence of who you are, your soul, it never dies. We're energy. It keeps going and going and going, and you decide whether you come to this realm or you go to another one. I mean, I can get into this, and it's a whole nother.
Talk to me about this. What's this all about? So I'm still learning. I'm still learning a lot about energies, frequencies, chakras. We were talking about that before the show. I'm still learning about all this, and I'm becoming very fascinated by it because a lot of people immediately tell you mindset right, get your mind right, get your mind right, get it right. But nobody says align your chakras. Where's your energy at, right? Where's your frequency at? What frequency are you on? And these are all things that they're not physical. And that's the shit, like.
But I mean, come on. We were raised with religion.
Right.
None of that, all of it is myths, but yet you don't want to believe in this, but you want to believe in that. To me, I'm so grateful to my mother because she always allowed me to be who I was, whether it was right or wrong. She allowed me to be who I was. And I think part of that was exploring my own religious beliefs. She never, I mean, La Virgen de Guadalupe was all over my house. That shit scared me sometimes at night when I would go to use the restroom, and that big old
Maria Purísima.
Yes, it was scary to me. But yeah, like I don't know. She never forced religion down my throat, and she always allowed me to explore. And I think that's why I've always been so fascinated by what's out there, what's after this. And so ever since I was 26 years old, it's become an obsession to find out more and more and more. So definitely, if you want to learn more about spirituality, I would start reading Dolores Cannon. She's probably one of the main authors that allowed me to open my mind up to it, to the other side, what's next. Between Life and Death, I think, is her book. That was the beginning of it all.
So you mentioned that kind of started you off with reading. Was there, aside from the energy book, is there a book that you think maybe ignited the fire that you feel like you needed? Or
well, you know, I don't read as much as I should. My goal is to read 10 pages a night, and I just started doing that again. But YouTube, dude, YouTube. I'm trying to think. Abraham Hicks is another one that's amazing, and she's inspired me so much. And so she channels Abraham. Her name's Esther, and she channels Abraham, and it's, you know, she kind of talks about staying in higher frequencies, not focusing on the things you can't control, focusing on how to make yourself happy at all times. Another one, the Seth material. This one's a little bit more out there, but it's so amazingly powerful. And it's Jane Roberts. And she was from New York, and she actually channeled Seth, and they knew each other from a previous life. So those are all, you can YouTube all these people, and it's all free, you guys. It's all free. So if you guys are into this stuff, then, you know, get on there, because it really gives you a different perspective, and it cuts through all those religious beliefs that some people, it's very difficult to
convert.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to make you convert. I want to be able to plant the seed so that other people can become aware that there is a different story. And a lot of this, nothing's been scientifically proven, right? So just give it a try. I always say Jesus was amazing. I love Jesus. But, his followers have made him into this thing that he really wasn't when he was here. He was just here to show us, just like Buddha, just like the rest of the ascended masters, how to live a life and know that God is within you and we are God, and some people is like, oh, you can't say that. How dare you? And like, no, I'm gonna own it. I'm my own God. I create my life. I create my destiny. I don't leave it up to anybody else. I do it for me because I have the power to.
You were the very first person I meet that believes that the same way that I do.
Really?
Yeah.
You talked about the law of attraction in your last podcast, in a few podcasts before this one. So I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. I'm a huge practitioner in, the power of thought, power of positive thinking.
Absolutely.
But, and all this shit ties in. So like as far as the religion thing, I pretty much kicked myself out of I was in private school. It was a Catholic Lasallian school in high school. So I started off at a school called San Miguel. Mm-hmm. And I went there for the first year and a half or so. And I pretty much exiled myself from that because the one thing I didn't like about that school, an amazing school, by the way, like if you're listening and you have kids and you're thinking about what school is going to be best for your kids, this is an amazing school and it's free. Most private schools aren't free. Mm-hmm. And aside from teaching me how to be a professional adult, that school, unfortunately, forced me to take religion class. Yeah. Like, they don't give you the option like other high schools where you get to pick your electives and all this shit. Like, this school's, they pick everything for you. And there's a lot of things with traditional religion, particularly Catholicism, that I don't agree with. Mm-hmm. And I might lose some of you here, but I'm sorry for being myself. Actually, I'm not sorry for being myself. You're
not sorry. No, be your authentic self. Put it out there.
But when it comes to like Catholicism and the Bible, there's a lot of things that, people just need to ask more questions.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people just need to, when somebody tells you something, you can't be so gullible, especially with from a book, from a book with no real sources, right?
Right.
You read a book now from an author that you really like, at least there's a source, and sometimes that author sources other people's work to prove what they're trying to teach you and things of that nature. But when it comes to like the Bible and shit like that, like I'm surprised people don't ask more questions.
Well, we were raised to listen and shut up and don't say anything because this is what it is and that is it and it is God.
No
and
explanation.
If you do not follow God in this book that is completely man-made, most of it, then you will burn in hell.
Yeah.
Well, honey, you put yourself there. If you truly believe that and your mind is powerful, if you believe that, then you will create it for yourself.
So my thing with, and again, I pretty much exiled myself from this because I was like, Mom, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able, like, I kept getting detention a lot because I was the only kid in my religion class that would always ask the question, why?
You're That's like it. My son, and I get him in trouble. It's like, because I said so. But at the same time, I've also created that within my son. It's okay to ask why.
You want to.
Because I want him to. Don't just do it. Unless I say so, right? Because that's my kid. But everyone else, ask your questions. Yeah. Ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd always ask why. Yeah. Why?
Which is
right?
Awesome.
To everything. And eventually got to the point where my religion teacher, wouldn't even let me raise my hand anymore. She was like, Sergio, if that's going to be a question it's going to spark insanity, she's like, then we'll talk about it at detention again. And that's how they are. And again, it's a private Lasallian school. And it's in this kind of school, they're very strict. Like, you had to dress professional attire, slacks, button up, tie. Your fucking sleeves your cuffs had to be on, like you couldn't roll your sleeves up. You could, your top button had to be up. you had to wear a watch, and you had to shave. And these are all a bunch of kids that are in puberty, right? Freshman year in high school, so everyone's peach fuzz is coming out.
Yeah.
And if they saw that you had any bit of peach fuzz, they'd pull you out of class and make you shave in the bathroom.
Which I love, though.
It's great. There's a lot of great things
awesome.
about it. The biggest problem with the school was your inability to choose whether or not you actually wanted to take a religion class. And then they would make us do like masses. So they would do school-wide masses on the particular Fridays. But that was a huge disagreement. I'm not very religious because I don't think you need to believe in anything else other than yourself.
100%.
So my interpretation is almost exactly the same as yours when it comes to God, right? Like, I am God, right? And most people,
in all things,
right?
God is in all things.
It's everything, and God isn't. And the reason why I never took up praying is because praying is really an affirmation. Mm-hmm. The problem is you're not affirming yourself, right? So you're really just kind of. It sounds kind of stupid, but when people are praying to like the saint, like we're Mexican American, so a lot of our family members, they pray to La Virgen, right? They pray to San Judas, all these different saints, right?
Malverde, Sinaloa.
Yeah.
Well, that's not. He doesn't have a very good rep, but no, it happens. Yes.
So they pray to the saints. They pray to all these people. Why don't you pray to yourself? Why don't you kind of close your eyes and reaffirm that you are strong, that you can do this, you can get through this, and you can truly attain and achieve anything you fucking want.
Well, that's meditation.
As opposed to asking somebody else for it. Like, hi, Diosito, or hey, God, can you do this for me? Can you do, like, don't get me wrong. Like, sometimes that makes you feel better, but don't be asking mythological people or beings for handouts.
Yeah. Actually, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Quick. Actually, I'm a firm believer in asking you shall receive, because I believe that we do have guides on the other side that are specifically assigned, that we chose, that are assigned to us specifically to help us through life. So if they're not able to fully help us, if we don't ask for it. And it's not that you're asking for handouts, because I don't believe in that. You're asking for guidance. So they're there and they're available to you at all times, 24/7. That is their that's their full-time job, right? From the other side, is to continuously help you in what it is that you want to achieve. No handouts, but the guidance. And the way that it happens is by synchronicity. So you ask for something, and if it's aligned with where you're meant to be, they'll start giving you little clarity. You meet someone, the coincidence is what, right? I don't believe in that, but everything starts moving and aligning in a way to your desires or what you ask for, if it's to the highest purpose.
It's lining up your destiny.
Yes, as long as you're always working to create a life to the highest good, helping others, loving other humans, helping others is the main thing. Yeah. Because we're all put here to help one another, and we've kind of been taught otherwise. And especially in the Latin community, you can't be friends with that person, or they're doing better than us, so hate on them. It's
so
why?
So common. Well,
it's so common.
I think especially, I mean, we grew up same.
Yeah.
Same.
Isn't it crazy how similar we grew up? And you grew up in Tucson and I grew up in the Bay, completely different areas, but our story is very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's crazy it's crazy because we didn't grow up into, and I don't think it's our parents' fault, right?
No,
it's not our family's fault because they didn't know any better.
But they also didn't take the action to learn.
That they did. At the same time, the way I look at it is, shame on you for not learning, but shame on me for not making a difference.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's my attitude towards it. There's a lot of things that, like, my dad never fucking learned English.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here like, why didn't you learn how did you never learn how to open up a bank account? How did you never learn how to take care of your credit? How did you never learn how to do anything, right? Besides work, which is, And that's the thing about Mexicans, right? Especially Mexican dads, right? It's always, well, I work my ass off. I work like, dude, you can work your ass off and still do all these other things too. You know what I mean? Like you don't just have to work, and it takes more than that, right? It takes being a great family man. It takes you obviously being a hard worker. It takes you taking initiative to want to better your life and not just work.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think I had the opposite side. I mean, I didn't grow up with my father, but he's always been probably the number one person that I look up to, and probably the first person that made me want to be better. But my drive was negative instead of positive. It was like, well, you made it happen. My father moved to Phoenix, Arizona when I was very young, so I didn't have my father in my life very much. And so whenever I would come visit him, the 3 times that I visited him my entire life while he was on earth, I would go and I would get so angry because he had everything. And my mother was struggling all the time in the Bay Area, could barely make ends meet, had to work 3 jobs, busted her ass, single mom. And I give it to my mother because she's the one that taught me strength. But my father's the one that taught me how to be ambitious. And even if I took it in a negative way, when he passed, I wanted to finish what he started. Because my father came here from Sinaloa with nothing, started working as a janitor in San Jose, California, and then migrated out to Phoenix and became the operations manager of the entire company and was working his way up still. And he learned English. He was just a few months away from getting his business major. So my father accomplished so much, but it would piss me off. You know, it would piss me off. Like, how dare you leave me? You know, I wanted you in my life. But now that I'm older, I realize like they're humans. Our parents are humans just like we are. And he's definitely helping me a lot from the other side. I know it. I feel him all the time. No, it sounds crazy, but he really makes sure that I know that he's there. Even if it's a song, you know, un corrido in the radio. And I'm like, hey, Dad, you know, because that was huge for him. He was so into music, and so am I. Yeah. So whenever corrido? El Jardinero, I think was his song, but he used to just tell me like, ¿Qué canción quieres? And I would tell him, and he'll just start playing his guitar. And I'm telling you, I wasn't around my father so much as I wish I could have been, but he inspired my life. And him from the other side, I know he's helping me and pushing me towards, you know, becoming greater than I am right now.
Yeah. And aside from that, I'm also glad that, you know, I was talking to my wife about this the other day because a lot of this particular generation, you and my wife are in the same generation of, you know, we're descendants of immigrants that immigrated here. Mm-hmm. So we're really second generation or first generation Mexican Americans.
Yes,
right?
First generation.
And unfortunately, a lot of our moms, you know, my mom was born here, so she wasn't raised this way. She still knew how to be a wife and a housewife, right?
Yes.
Because that's
what they're taught.
Yeah, that's what you're taught. So
you wait for your man to get home, and you have dinner cooked, and the house is clean, y los niños están bañados and everything. And everything's perfect at home. That's your job. That's it.
See, and I don't like that.
You telling me? I grew up hearing it all the time, and I'm like, fuck that. No, that sounds horrible. Having to wait for my man for everything,
you're taught to submit to a man, right? You're taught to you're literally taught to give up all of your powers to conform to a man and satisfy the man, right? That's unfortunately, and it's not just the Mexican culture. There's a lot of other non-American cultures where that is what they're taught, right? Like, you're born a woman, okay, daughter, this is your purpose in life, right? Yeah. And I hate that. So I absolutely love seeing people break out of that barrier, and my wife's another example of that. Like, she could totally be a stay-at-home wife right now if she wanted to, but she feels like she needs to work. Yeah. And though she doesn't need to, she feels like she needs to work because she doesn't want me to help her family out alone, right? She doesn't want to leave me doing it alone, and she also wants some credit, and she wants to be able to accomplish things on her own, do her own thing, right? Right. And I love that, and I love seeing women break out of that habit and do something with it.
Absolutely. And listen, this is something that I say all the time. There is nothing wrong. I mean, I got to give it to those women out there that, you know, love to have babies and love to raise their babies and love to cook and love to clean. That is a full-time job.
Oh.
And so I got to give it to them. I think, you know, they don't get enough credit. They really don't. So, you know, yeah,
Completely
they're
agree with you.
amazing. They're amazing. If you're happy doing that, then, and that's your purpose, that's beautiful. But I'm talking to those women who are doing it because they feel they have to and they absolutely hate it.
Yeah. There's a difference between willing to do something and needing to do something.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're not happy, just know that there is another way. There is an out. There is, you can get out of it, but it's going to be up to you and your choices that you make to get out. If you're not happy, start changing shit, man. Like, that's it. Take action towards getting out of that bubble that they've created for you. Stop blaming everyone else for being unhappy and take control of your own fucking life, you know? And I'm so passionate about that because I see so many women who are so unhappy and they're just blaming this and blaming that and blaming the world and my life and it sucked. Okay. So like we were talking about earlier, use it as fuel to get out of your situation and impact others.
Yeah.
You know, that's all there is to it. It's so simple. Stop overcomplicating shit. You can't do this, you can't do that, or I gotta wait for this, I gotta wait for that. You're gonna spend your entire life, you're gonna be in your 60s and be like, shit, I was waiting for the perfect moment that just never came.
Yeah.
So that's no one's fault but your own. You know, as humans, that is our superpower. We have the choice. We have the gift to make choices. Especially
here in this country.
Oh my God. We are so blessed. I am so grateful to be American.
I wish I could, and I know, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody. Then again, I don't really care. But I wish I could just import every woman from the Middle East to America. Every single woman.
I know.
Just import them to America.
I know.
Because if you think that, if you think we treat women bad in America,
oh man,
okay, you got it. Like, you don't know these other cultures.
Yeah.
I mean, we're fucking look at their society makes them cover their entire body, face, everything, right?
Yeah.
They can barely show their eyes because, I'm not even gonna go into why they do that, right?
But it breaks my heart, and I, you know, that's another reason I don't know of what's going on in TV. I don't know what's going on in the news. I don't know anything about what's in the media. And, you know, I've got some backlash from some of my friends because they say, you know, I'm from the Bay, dude. We used to get out of school and nos íbamos a marchar in downtown San Jose for student rights. I mean, come on. You know, we would ditch school and go and with our big ass signs. And, you know, in the Bay Area, you're taught to fight back. And so many people, you know, I can't though. I can't, because in order for me to make an impact in life, I gotta be okay. And in order for me to make an impact, I gotta focus on my community. And as much as I eventually, once I'm big enough, let's go to the Middle East. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? I challenge you to be the best that you could be, and I gotta be the best that I could be, so that we can be so financially set that we can come up with a way to help them in the Middle East, because it is so desperately needed out there. And I try not to see it because it makes me cry.
No. Dude, it is bad, man. And it's also very unfortunate to see our beautiful Mexico crumble into the same type of war zone, man. Like, it's fucking, like, it's no longer a war on drugs. It's terrorism because of drugs now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In Mexico, suddenly you can't even look too far to see what's going on down there. But as far as like what's going on in the Middle East, man, like, that's
a whole nother level.
And you got to be grateful that your fucking city isn't getting bombed by God knows
right?
who,
Yeah, always be grateful. And I feel like for them, it's I think they are so emotionally beat up that they don't see another way.
They're just numb.
They're numb. Yeah, they're numb. And so, but I mean, even to them out there, like, there is a choice to move out of there. Find a fucking way or make a way. You know, if you feel like, make a way, just make a way, figure it out. And I mean, I wasn't raised there, so I don't know what they go through on a daily basis, but I've seen some things on Facebook and it breaks my heart. And I think there's so much help that needs to be, or there needs to be a movement to help them out there.
Yeah.
It just has to be.
I used to tell my mom, I used to say, Mom, I really, when I find my purpose, I really want to change the world.
I say that all the time.
And she would tell me, son, I know you can do that.
Aww.
She said, just don't let the world change you.
I love that. Oh, I love that. My mom would say something else, but I would always say, like, I'm going to change the world one day. And they'd be like, oh, Wendie, you live in a pink world. Like, get the out of there, get the fuck out of that, because you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. It was always that. You can't do that. You can do other things, but you can't change the world. The world's already the way that it is. And a lot of my friends would tell me too, like, you live in this world. So what did I do? I got the fuck out of the Bay. Yeah. That's what I did. I got out of there because it was like, man, where am I going to grow here? I live in one of the most powerful states in the world. I feel like California. Holy shit. It's so powerful there. I lived in the Bay Area, where all the Silicon Valley, that's where I'm from. And I had to run away from that. Yeah. But I mean, I owe it to the Bay. I am who I am because of it. And forever, that's going to be home, but I just can't live.
Yeah. That's insane, man. That's, I love that that you are not only a practitioner, but you're a teacher in the power of positive thinking and the law of attraction and stuff like that. I've seen you talk about it on your social medias and things like that. At what point of your life did you get into all this shit?
Well, I think I always knew deep down inside, and then I eventually ended up believing everyone around me that maybe I was crazy. Maybe I couldn't, because I remember one time specifically, like, I was like, why can't we just buy a whole new counter? I told my mom, and she said, what? With what money? I was like, oh man, okay, well, I guess you can't just go and replace stuff, like, we're going to have a broken counter forever. That was one of the things that I think when I was younger, I always said, well, let's just fix it. I've always been super solution based. Like, stop complaining about this shit. Let's fix it. So what's the solution? Okay. You feel like shit. So what's the solution? Go on a walk. All right, you are stuck in your own mind. So what are you going to do? Read a book. I don't know. Just look for a way. Just look for a way or make a way. That's it. Stop overcomplicating shit.
I like to think of your mind or the way you receive information as just like repetitive pools of quicksand. You can either like sprint through this shit so that you don't sink in them, or like as soon as you hit like even just the first one and you receive it wrong and you just start dwelling on all the negativity and picking apart why you can't do something or just drowning yourself in it, right? Yeah. Like because you didn't just fucking get over it, right? Because you didn't just fucking run or sprint past that thought or find a way to change what that really means to you, you're going to let yourself sink in this shit. It's quicksand. You're just fucking, you can either,
I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
so true.
I feel like a lot of people are like that, as soon as, and it's like that with like judgment. It's like that with many aspects in life when I get it. It's hard to stay positive. It's fucking hard. It is probably 100 times harder to analyze the good in something versus the bad. It's way too easy to analyze.
It's in our DNA. I mean, you got to think back. It's been generation after generation after generation. We were sheep for so many generations. So it's in our DNA. Yeah. It's become engraved in our DNA. Follow the 1%. Follow what they tell you. Go to school and go work for someone else. That is your life. And then you die. It's like horrible. Yeah. But I think we're getting to a place where just humanity is realizing that
there's color to life.
There is. And you can make and create whatever it is that you want. It's just a matter of trying to, or taking steps towards building different habits.
Yeah.
Because your habits are the ones that are, what you do every day is what's going to change the way that you think. Eventually, you have to, it's like you're reversing everything that they taught you when you were young,
You have to. And here's my take on that. So going back to, everybody wants you to follow that system, right? Mm-hmm. Follow the 1%, get a job, work 40 hours a week, mm-hmm. right? All these like things that we're led to believe is the right way to live life. Since we were kids, you and I, it sounds like we grew up pretty much the same financially as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to public schools, right? And who funds these public schools? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, they're funded by the government. Yes. There's a reason why public schools are free. Yeah. Because they don't teach the same shit at private schools. Private schools are private because they're privately funded. Mm-hmm. They're not controlled by the government. The curriculum isn't controlled by the government. Right. The food they eat in these schools that are private is a lot better than what they feed you in a public school.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, public schools feed you shit like worse than prison food. And that food's free, by the way. Yeah. And in public school, I pay $1.50 for lunch or something like that.
Like $3.50.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
You pay for shit. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You pay for something that inmates get for free. Anyway, like, from kindergarten to the end of high school, if you go through public school, you're taught that because it's free. And when it's and again, if anybody wants to lash out and say, well, they didn't teach me what I needed to learn, well, that's because it was free. You know what I mean? So, like, change the tide. Like, mm-hmm. Now, like, fuck. The first thing, like, as soon as my wife got pregnant, I was like, no public schools. Yeah. All private schools, right? Yeah. And I've got my daughter on the waiting list for basis. Yeah. I'm trying to get her in basis K through 12. That's awesome. So that she can grow up to be a fucking genius, right? Yeah. But again, just let her do whatever she wants. So if she's 10 years into that school and she wants to go somewhere else, then we'll entertain that. But I'm not going to put her through free school because they fully control. And that's why we're all taught that way, because, I mean, we are the 99%, right? Because the 1% have their kids in public and private schools, and they all succeed, and we all hate on them. They're like, oh, well, you went to private school, right? That's why you got into that college and all that shit. But instead of hating on them, you should admire that and want to put your kids through that.
Exactly.
See, because my thing on life isn't, because it's a Mexican thing, mijo or mija, I want to give you everything I never had. Yes. That's a wrong goal. And see, I always thought, oh, that's a great way of looking at it. Thank you, Dad, or thank you, Mom. What it should be is, baby, I want to teach you everything I never learned. Mm-hmm. I want you to learn everything I never learned. And that's the right way of doing it. So for starters, it starts with school, right? Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that your mindset is perfect by the time you graduate high school, because you are going to be the first that's going to be a part of that 1%, right?
Absolutely.
So again, it's all perspective.
It is.
So going back to how you analyze things and how you can change. So you can't change somebody's worldview, but you can change their perspective. Mm-hmm. And that's all that matters.
The seed.
Yeah.
You can plant the seed for sure.
So
that's one of my goals.
Yeah. Same here. I think we could do it.
Absolutely. And I think, people don't like to see themselves as light workers, but let's face it, we all are. We're in that generation that's going to change the world. And everyone has said it before us, though. But it has. Every decade you see the shift, and you see the shift and bigger shifts. And now we're at that place where, parents have to teach their kids. Yeah, you know what? They're in public school, but it needs to come from home too. So the parents need to get educated to be able to teach their kids about mindset. I mean, my son is always making these crazy noises all the time, and he's all about music too. And I'm like, those noises, they annoy the hell out of me, but those noises are going to make you rich, son. They're going to make you rich. They're going to make you rich. So I'm always telling him, even though it annoys me, I still want him to be his authentic self, and I want him to feel good about himself. So I'm always like, you're going to be rich because of that. Or, I'm trying my best at home to teach them to be their authentic self. And even though it gets you in trouble, sometimes handle it at school, but at home, be who you are.
I love that because even, well, our generation, we were taught to forget about our dreams, or not forget about our dreams, but put our dreams and put our passions in the back seat.
Yeah, because that's not going to make you money. So
Right.
Go work for these massive companies. Oh, we were definitely taught that in the Bay. Like
Yeah.
we were taught to work for those. Be innovative because once you graduate, you got to go work for Google and Yahoo and all those amazing companies out there. And they're massive out there and they're beautiful companies. But
I'd love to see a generational change in parenting.
yes.
Because I think parents, period, no matter what, like, look, like your kid can't control the way they feel, right? They can't control what their passions are early on, because kids really, they're still filling in their own shoes, you know? And if they want to be a musician, let fucking double down on that dream,
Absolutely.
man. Like, let's take Taylor Swift's mom, for instance. Have you seen this documentary of her on Netflix, by the way?
I haven't. I'm telling you, I hardly watch TV. I'm awful.
I'm the same way. The other day I was reading, what book was I reading? Break Through the Noise. It's this new book from the guys that did Shareability. It's a marketing company. Great fucking book so far. And my wife started putting that on. And at first I'm like, what are you watching? And she's like, oh, it's the new Taylor Swift documentary. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to keep reading. 5 minutes in, I put my book down. I was like, oh, this shit's good.
Yeah.
And it really takes you, and again, going back to perspective, it takes you into who she really is, like who this person really is, not who like what Taylor Swift is, but who Taylor Swift is, right? Dude, I don't think I have ever seen a harder working human being than this girl.
Wow.
Like, to the point, and this is, I'm not trying to be a dick, but to the point where she might even be a little autistic with how much of a perfectionist and how much her brain, like, its purpose is music.
Right.
Like how much her brain is wired for that and how passionate she is about this shit. Like, you should see her, like, just looking at her eyeballs when she's writing music or thinking about music.
The passion.
That's when I was like, yo, this is kind of borderline autistic in how passionate she is. And autistic isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Autistic, it could just be somebody that's just extremely, extremely focused on a particular task, right? And somebody who's absolutely obsessed with it to the point where it makes them look a little mental. But all I saw was a hard working fucking person.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And honestly, like, and that really started a little bit of a like hatred for Kanye West, because it showed you her perspective on that whole situation that happened.
Yeah.
And this poor girl, we got to take a girl, okay? She's a country artist.
Yeah.
And she had never been invited to the MTV Video Awards, right?
Right.
Because it's not her genre. She was always on the CMT, right? The Country Music Channel and stuff like that. So this poor girl was already out of her comfort zone because she's being nominated and she's going to a ceremony with a bunch of hip hop artists and a completely different genre. It's a different ball game, right?
Yeah.
And she gets on stage and she's fucking nervous. She did not expect to win and she's super nervous. And this asshole jumps on stage and makes her look like shit, right?
That is horrible.
So honestly, I cried. Like, look.
Oh, yeah.
I cried because they were showing her, she was telling the story like I've never seen before. And you should see her, like, her reaction was immediately she started to feel like really sad, right? And then she started hearing boos in the crowd and she thought people were booing her.
Oh no.
So she felt even more humiliated because a guy that she'd never met before, didn't know anything about him, this Kanye dude, right?
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about him, jumped on the stage, did that stupid gimmick. People were booing him for that. But she thought they were booing her. Yeah, so she thought they were booing her. So that made her feel even worse. Like, she was already out of her comfort zone. She goes to this, didn't expect to win. Some schmuck gets on the stage, pulls that stunt. Here's the boos, and she's like, I froze. She's like, I started crying. I didn't know what to do. She's like, and I thought they were booing me, so it made me feel even worse. And then I'm like, holy fuck, like, I love Taylor Swift.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're like, I'm a fan now.
Huge fan.
That must have been terrible.
And just seeing her, that was amazing. And I promise you, she did not get rich and famous because she's a tall, skinny, blonde, blue-eyed girl. she got rich and famous because her mom tripled down on her dreams. Her mom realized that her daughter absolutely loved music and was absolutely positively passionate about this shit to the point where she supported and fully supported her daughter. So as opposed to talking shit about saying, oh, well, she's only famous because she's fucking white and she's blonde and she's got blue eyes. Well, I encourage you to look at people's backstories, obviously, before you judge them, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And, you know, and realize that that's honestly a supportive fucking parent. It's crazy how powerful a parent who triples down on their kid's dream, how powerful that is, because how far you can get. Look at Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah.
With his dad. And even though, you know, that's a completely different side of it. But dad saw talent, dad tripled down. And, you know, the difference here is dad really wanted to make his buck. But
Yeah.
that's how it is. Same thing with like Justin Bieber. This dude fucking kid, right? He's got a pretty voice. And mom was like, yo, son, like if this was what you really want to do, we'll double down on it, right?
Yeah. I'll have to see that documentary.
You have to watch it.
I do.
Yes, that's an amazing, very eye-opening documentary.
It sounds very powerful.
And it's very, and you know, it's very inspiring.
Yeah.
You know, me as a guy, and I don't think any guy, if you're listening, you should never seek to like a same sex, like motivational character. Like, dude, like you don't know how many women motivate me more than men. And I wish there were more motivational speaking women out there.
Absolutely.
Because women deserve 5 times the amount of respect. There shouldn't be a barrier between both sexes. Matter of fact, there shouldn't be any filters. There shouldn't be women. There shouldn't be men. There shouldn't be black, white, brown.
We're
human. It should just be people.
Yeah, we're human.
And that's fucking like, it's horse shit. Like this whole that we still live. I can't believe that we live in a generation where cars don't even need gas anymore. There's an insane amount, like communication has literally created a better place.
Yeah.
You know, we're living in a world full of innovation and we still can't just call each other people.
I know.
Like we have to fill everything out, like gender, male, sex, blah, 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 right? Eyes, blah. Like, why do they have to, why do we need filters?
Yeah. No, yeah. And I think it's going to be up to us to change it. That's it. It's going to be up to us because as humans, like I was telling you earlier, I think we're getting to that place where we're realizing all these things. And it's like, wait, we were taught a bunch of bullshit. So we need to make sure that we take control of our lives so that we're able to better the future for our children, better the future for one another. And yeah, I agree with you. I think it's time. It's time that we could take control, and it's time that we come up with ways to help our future, help our kids. You know, they're the ones that are going to break it. I'm telling you, based on my light work and all that, we're all shifting. And you see people talk about it all the time. Oh, I'm woke as fuck. Yeah, they say it because it sounds cool, but no, literally, we're all going to become awakened by the amount of information and come on guys, it's free. Again, if you want to learn about something, it is free. We don't live in that era where, you know, we're all we do all day is watch TV. You know, we have options now. So it's up to you and everyone else it's up to you to take control of that and start changing the way you think and start learning more about what you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
So it's up to us.
So I'm making it a goal. I really want to be, I want to be a motivational speaker. Those are shoes that I'll fill in eventually. And I want to be the best at it. And I'm not going to charge people. And I don't think that, like, you know, when you go to like seminars and stuff like that, I think they should all be motivational speeches. I don't necessarily think these events should be a here pen and paper type of deal, right? Here's my slideshow. I'm going to show you how I grew my business and half you might fall asleep. I think these events, I think all that information should be free. I think, and here's what I'm going to do, right? I'm just going to have and create a library full of absolutely free information that'll teach you, you know, the infrastructure, that'll teach you the logistics, that'll teach you things that you want to learn on how to run a business and make all this shit, right? But when it comes to public speaking, like if somebody shows up to hear me speak, I'm going to speak.
Yeah.
I'm not going to teach, right? And I'm going to preach, like mindset, because that's what, I mean, people don't go to church to to write notes, right? People go to
Yeah.
church because they want to hear especially Christian churches. I think I'm not very religious, but I gotta go to one of these Christian churches, like where they got music playing and there's stadiums full of people and they just go see this motherfucker speak.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, it is very powerful, but I always challenged it. I was like you. I always challenged it. And I remember when I was 14, I was going to like this extremely, what was it, like Pentecostal, I think it was. And, you had to wear the skirts and you had to not show anything. And and people would dance and scream and sing. And it was fucking scary sometimes. But, I started challenging, why do I have to dress like this? Oh, you can't go dance, that's the devil, and you can't do this, that's the devil. And I was like, wait a second. So you're telling me I can't be myself? You're telling me that my shirts are too low? You're telling me my skirt's too tight? And that makes me, I'm following the devil because of those things? Like, come on. No, but yeah, I mean, go. Go so you can see what it's like. But I had to leave that real quick because, I had to leave that real quick. I just felt so out of my comfort zone. I felt like, if anything, it was moving me further away from who I truly was.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and, I gotta say something.
Say it.
Have you seen that movie Spotlight?
No.
So Spotlight is a movie. My wife wants to be a detective someday, so she loves watching these investigative movies and stuff like that. And so this movie is about this group of journalists. I forget the name. I think it was Washington Post. No, Boston Globe or something. I don't know. But these journalists discovered and were on and uncovered a tomb that they weren't supposed to uncover. And it was hundreds and hundreds of Catholic priests across the entire United States that were molesting children while their parents knew about it. And it's a true story.
Wow.
About all these Catholic priests. And their parents knew about it. Okay, all their parents knew about it because it's what God wanted, right? God wants me to exorcise the demons out of you, right? The worst part of that is the parents knew, right? There was a lot of knowing and okay parents, right? They were okay with it.
I want to say something so bad, but
just fucking say it.
I'm thinking, okay, you're gonna have to watch. I'm trying to think what that documentary is called. It's something majestic, beyond majestic, above majestic is what it's called. And this is a whole nother realm of things. But so in this documentary, they talk about the essence of a child, the essence and that purity of a child, and how a lot of these cults take that essence out of a child and use it to feed certain demons, therefore it gives them more power.
It's all in the way you word it, right?
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
It's disgusting. I think it's something that we're all fighting against right now. I think as we continue to fight our own demons, it'll be more and more exposed. That's for sure.
Let me tell you something scary.
Tell me.
So a lot of these priests that were discovered, a lot of them, as opposed to, being imprisoned and shunned out of the country, they were exiled. A lot of them were exiled out of the cities that they were, right? Because once they were,
I think I have heard about this then, into like their own little comfortable places outside where no one knew where they were.
And guess where that place is?
Oh God, where is that?
Tucson, Arizona.
You're lying.
Swear to God. A lot of these priests were sent out to towns that were very close to the border, towns that had a lot of immigrant people in it. Because when you have immigrant people and you have people that are undocumented that are going to church, do you think they're going to call the cops on themselves?
No.
when they find a priest. So they pretty much, they exiled them to like vulnerable cities, right? Like close to the border. And Tucson received a lot of these priests.
Interesting. Well, I mean, you put it out there. So, I think people are going to be a lot more aware.
You got to be careful.
You got to be careful, and you got to ask your questions, and you got to really, really sit down and think, is religion as positive as they're making it seem?
My religion is self-transformation.
Absolutely. And I don't have a religion.
Saying you don't need, and for anybody listening, if you typically, go to the Bible and as your form of either meditation or your fix of positive thinking, there are so many people out there that will show you how to do it without having to preach something that might not be real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's real is you.
Exactly.
There's matter to that, right? There's something beautiful about just the human anatomy. There's something beautiful about it.
Absolutely.
And it's not just you physically. There is a world outside of your body that's just hovering right over your body that's your spirit, right?
Your higher self.
Your higher self. That's a completely different realm that a lot of people never discover, nor do they pay attention to.
Yeah.
For anybody bitching about life, I promise you there's so much beauty to life.
There's so much beauty no matter where you're at. I mean, and everyone always says it could always be so much worse, but I don't try and focus on that. I try and focus, it could always be so much more beautiful than this.
Absolutely.
If I take the action and if I go and I seek what fulfills me, not what my parents wanted me to do, not what my neighbor wants me to do, not what my homies want me to do, not what my friends, none of that. It's simply, what do I want? Because it's all within us. And, I think a lot of what they call sins, like a woman that dresses in tight clothes, that's a sin, right? Because you're exposing yourself to men and you're making them feel a certain way. But I ain't the problem. It's the guy that's looking at me. You know what I mean? It's just, it's your perspective. It's the way that you see it. You have to be more aware of yourself and your inner self and, making yourself be happy.
Yeah.
And don't worry about anybody else.
Just shifts perspective. That's what I tell people all the time. They're like, oh, well, how do I avoid thinking negatively about something that's obviously very negative? Like, how do I deal with, death? How do I deal with all these different hardships that are going on? I'm just switch your perspective.
Absolutely. Because even, me being able to cross over, and feel a lot of the people who have crossed over. I don't speak about this very publicly, honestly, because people always think like, oh, you're crazy. But I found out that, in my readings, sometimes people do come through and I can feel their personalities. And, obviously you have to learn how to disconnect from who has passed on and whatnot. But they're so happy, most of them, unless they left a lot undone, then they kind of stay in that gray area. And that's when people say, oh, I can see a ghost in this house or whatnot, whatever it may be. But for the most part, they are so at peace and they're helping. It's like your ancestors are helping you from the other side. Take the help. Ask for the help. Ask for the guidance. Don't ask for shit to be done for you because it ain't going to be done. It's up to you. But ask for guidance and they'll give it to you for sure.
Yeah. So you're referring to the spirits of those that passed. Mm-hmm. They're actually happy.
Yes.
Can you feel that?
Absolutely.
Partying with the banda and shit.
It very well could be. It's a whole nother realm, but a lot of them come through like a lot at peace.
Yeah.
A lot at peace, and they want to help.
What do you think that is? Okay, we're not talking heaven and hell here. We're literally talking about life after death. Right, there is no such thing.
No.
But what is, like, to you and your experience in reading and your experience in getting through, to you, how do you interpret life after death?
I feel, let me put it to you this way. Earth is it's kind of like a university. You come here, you learn, you grow as much as you possibly can, and then you move on to the next thing. You choose whether you want to come back to Earth or not, because Earth is one of the hardest places to be born into, because you're swiped of all your past and all your past lives. So you come into this fresh place, you choose your mother, you choose your father, you choose your challenges, you choose the people that are going to, it's kind of like you're contracted. The people that have hurt you in your life, you guys have a contract on the other side. And that's why I'm not ever mad at anyone. Like, I'm really not, because I feel if anyone has done something to hurt me, it's okay. I contracted that. That's the challenge that I put in my life. But ultimately, you're put into Earth not knowing anything, because you want to evolve, and you want to grow, and you want to expand your consciousness. And we're all here to help one another. So once you're done with this contract, you go to the other side, you choose to rest, or you choose to come right back to the next ride. Come right back. Choose who you want to partner up with. Who are you going to meet while you're here physically? And what do you want to accomplish? It's all up to you. And depending on how you, depending as you evolve, you create these certain situations for yourself. But the ultimate goal is for you to see them as lessons and grow from them and continue to evolve. But so many humans don't see it that way. They run into a few of their hardships, and that's it. They stay stuck.
They hit a wall.
And they hit a wall and they stay there. Well, it's your choice. You can stay there and then stay stuck there and pass on, and you're going to come right back, or you're going to choose another solar system. There's billions.
Yeah.
Just like this one.
It's incredible, man. I'm reading this book called You Are the Universe.
Yes.
And I forget who wrote it.
Universe. I love that.
Yeah. It's just the title alone. And this is a science book.
Yeah.
But this book goes this book goes into a lot of Einstein's theory of relativity, and talks a lot about the quantum realm, the quantum field.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked up have you looked into the quantum field?
I have.
It's crazy shit.
It is. It's amazing. I mean, I've never watched The Matrix, but I think they talk a lot about the Matrix, comparing it to The Matrix, right?
Yeah. It's just this. It's like I don't know, the best way. It's everything and it's nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
It's insane. It is insane.
It is what you make it.
Yeah. Well, and there's just so much to it. Like,
there is. We're gonna need a whole new episode just on this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's some crazy shit. If you guys haven't looked into this, it's the quantum. It has nothing to do with computers. It has nothing to do with that fucking chip. I think a TV that I have has like a quantum chip in it or some shit. All that shit is bullshit. I would definitely look into frequencies, energies, what the quantum is, right, and how that relates to us as humans, because I think that might have something to do with life after death.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
This whole idea of quantum and unlimited. It's just, I don't know. It's very hard for me to explain, but
just like you said, You Are the Universe, or that book. One thing that I always say is one thing that has been scientifically proven is that the universe is expanding.
Yeah.
So either you expand with the universe or you stay stuck.
Yeah.
And you just stay there. So we are here. We're born to evolve. You do have a purpose. You can reach other levels. And I think, a lot of the videos that I post on my social media have a lot to do with that, with planting the seed. And my videos are mostly targeted for beginning lash artists, because I feel like when I first started, there was nothing out there. Everything was so... everyone was so quiet. You couldn't talk about what adhesive you use, any of that. So I'm going to put all that out there because I want to help as many people as I can. So I think with that comes expansion, right? Like helping people to open up their mind enough to plant the seed so that they begin to shift into this.
Absolutely. And going back to that, I know that, the whole You Are the Universe, and we know, or a lot of people know unless you're one of those people that think the earth is flat, then you probably don't think there's anything else out there. It doesn't matter how big the universe is. We get it. It's fucking ginormous.
Yeah.
Like to the point where we can't even put it into scale as to how big it is.
Yeah.
And you should never, ever consider yourself a grain of rice. Never. Because what are you going to do? You're going to bask on yourself. You're going to be self-conscious. You're going to feel like you don't have purpose, right?
Yeah.
You're going to say, well, I'm just a grain of rice. This universe is huge. Like why does this universe need me?
But you're part of it.
Right?
You're part of it. And you're part of this movement. You're part of humanity. And we all are uniquely beautiful, and we're all different, and we all bring something different to the table. And that's the reason why you were born.
Yeah.
So stop, shine your light. I always say that, shine your light.
And aside
the world
from
needs
that,
it.
absolutely. And aside from that, people like it might take you 60 years for you to find your purpose.
Yeah.
You will find it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes to you in a big fucking package, and it's very obvious that this is your purpose. And sometimes it comes to you in subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to have to, use a treasure map to find your purpose. But as long as you find it, what do you think your purpose is? Do you think you found it?
Absolutely.
What is it?
Absolutely. It's what I work towards every day, is empowering women. And I know everyone uses this term, women empowerment. But really, how many are really using that term and actually taking action towards really empowering other women without wanting to monetize it? It's like, come get my program. Let me teach you women empowerment. No, dude, really, if you can sit down and make a difference in the lives of everyone that you meet, that is women empowerment. To me, I feel like my purpose is to help women learn to stop competing with one another and stop getting in your own way by not taking the action to change your mind. I mean, I can go on about my purpose, but ultimately my purpose is to help women feel beautiful inside and out.
Absolutely.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to figure out what steps I can take to make this a global thing.
Well, what I love about what you do, and how that ties into what your purpose is, don't be fooled, though you physically make people look beautiful, right? You're actually I feel like that's a front for you to make people feel beautiful inside.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know you're Mexican because we're all about them fronts, right? Them fucking drug fronts, but I do like that because your business is all about empowerment, and more so on the feeling side than the physical side, right?
Yeah. I love, and don't get me wrong, my service, I always try and find ways to make myself stand out from others, and I'm not in competition with anybody else but myself. And at the same time, I'm always trying to figure out, how can I get the girls that need me the most in here? I feel like I manifest most of my girls. I truly do. I feel like I manifest that woman that needs me the most. And just to be able to help them out is the biggest gift in the world for me.
I think a lot of that also has to do with you acknowledging and reaffirming what your purpose is, not to just yourself, but the universe. And slowly but surely you start gravitating or magneting followers that you're craving, right? You're craving those people that you can help.
Absolutely.
And that all ties into the power of positive thinking, right? You read The Secret, right? We were talking about that.
Yeah.
And how simple it is. Like, dude, you are the universe, bro. Just put that shit out there, right? Because your thoughts are like radio frequencies.
Yeah.
When you think of it and when you say it, it's even more powerful. It's louder when you say it. Literally say it, right? But just thinking of something literally transmits an FM type frequency out into the universe. Something somewhere we'll find it.
You gotta add that you have to feel it.
Oh yeah.
And you, even if you have to fake it at the beginning, it'll eventually, you're subconsciously planting the seed.
Yeah.
So even if you don't feel it at first, you have to stay in the feeling for it to manifest itself, whether it's the vision board, like the one you have up there. You look at that and you feel it. You feel rich. I mean, I'm looking at your vision board, like I feel rich just by seeing that, right?
Yeah.
So stay in that emotion of what you're trying to manifest.
Yeah.
And learning how to stay in the emotion by being grateful about everything, staying in that gratitude emotion. Like I'm grateful. Crap, today was terrible, but you know what? I'm grateful for it all, because it's all lessons, and that's it. Don't see it as, oh, what a terrible day. See it as, okay, what was the lesson? What was the lesson today? And thank you for it. Now moving on to where when things happen that are not very good, you've already gotten yourself so used to not focusing on that and the bullshit that today brought. You're focused on the beauty of your life.
Yeah. And the message.
Yeah.
Right? Because every fucking tragedy, everything that you feel like is going bad, I promise you that's a message in the bottle, and a lot of us are throwing the bottle away.
Yes.
Like,
that is so
don't
true.
throw that fucker away, dude. Go pick it back up, right?
Yeah.
Go get it. There's a message in it.
We all come from hardship, because if we didn't, we wouldn't be grateful. We wouldn't be humble, like you say, right?
Yeah.
It humbles you. At least that's the way you should. It should humble you.
Yeah.
But don't use it to paralyze yourself. Don't use your hardship to paralyze yourself. Use it to, what did you call it? As to build the way, to build that road for you to be able to drive it. And I think is the way that you say it.
Pave the road. Yeah.
Pave the road. Yeah. So use it as motivation to want to be better every day.
And again, it's all perspective. Perspective. Let's put it this way. Like movies you're seeing, right? Let's just say you watch a movie, right? You go to the theaters, you watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's the perspective of the director, right? Or the cinematographer, I should say. Cinematographer and director. Like you're watching the movie from the perspective of those people.
Right.
That would be an absolutely awful movie if you were looking at it from the perspective of, I don't know, a crew person, right? The guy that holds the lights, right? Because he's not looking at the right perspective. Right. His perspective of the movie, like, is always the back of the actors, and he can't hear anything because, or the guy holding the boom mic, right? The guy that's holding the mic for the fucking actors, right? That's a horrible perspective because he's not enjoying the movie, right? He's not looking at it right. He's got a wrong perspective. It's the same way with fucking anybody that works on a movie set, right? If your job is to hold this, if your job is to do this, if your job is lights, if your job is the rain, you're looking at it from an awful perspective, right? But once you watch the finished product and you see the real perspective or the way it was meant to be shown, then you understand, okay, all I had to do was change my perspective.
Yes.
That's life.
It is life.
All you have to do is shift the way you think about something. If you feel hatred, you need to understand why you feel hatred firstly and use that to pave the road for a different perspective. You're like, well, maybe what if I look at it from here? And then if you still hate it, you're like, well, let me look at it from here. If you still hate it there, then look at it from somewhere else. Then you're like, okay, now I get it.
Or learn to let go.
Yeah.
And that's something that when we were talking about aligning chakras, that's definitely one thing that I always focus on is when I'm visualizing my chakras, I always say, I release anything that no longer serves me.
Yeah.
If it's an emotion that does not feel right, I don't take the time to be like, where does this come from? No, I don't like it. I release it and I allow a new emotion to come in. How? By looking for things that I'm excited to do or reading or writing, finding other ways to distract myself from that emotion.
Yeah.
Always. I don't feel good right now. I release this emotion and I allow room for a new one. I want to feel happy right now. I want to feel joyful. I want to be at peace or whatever that feeling that you're searching for. But I think a lot of us focus so much on the emotion that we stay in it and we sink in it. And it makes you sick, you guys. You cannot stay in those emotions for too long because then you'll begin to feel depressed, anxious, and all those other emotions that you're not you're not feeling fulfilled because you're just grabbing onto them. Just learn to release them and let them go.
You have to. You know that term, right? Oh, it's eating me alive.
Yeah, it's literally eating you alive. It's so true.
It's literally doing that.
Yes.
Because you're when you are when you can't learn how to let go of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you can't switch the perspective, when you don't want to, I should say.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that they don't want to, right?
Yeah, because they don't know any different. Oh my gosh. And they don't want to. But my question's always been why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to feel like that all the time when there's so much joy in life? And I was reading your thing, and humble bragger, came to mind. It's like, I think we're those people that they look at us and they're like, oh, fuck those guys. They're always so positive and this and that.
I know, right?
I'm really not that positive. I just don't want to give the negativity bullshit any time of my day. It's sorry.
Toxic.
It's toxic. Yeah. I just, if I'm overly positive for you, then you're more than welcome to unfollow me or not talk to me anymore, or go find your negative clique and your negative crew and see how that goes for you, you know? But I've been told this so many times, like, God, you're always so positive. I look up to you because you're always so positive. Like, really, guys, I'm really not that positive. I just always see things in the bright side because it helps me. It helps me, and it allows me to learn how to manifest greater things, because if you're in that attitude of gratitude continuously, your life begins to shift and it begins to change. So once you get to that level, why would you ever accept anything else?
And that's a beautiful thing about gratitude. I think gratitude is step one to not only positivity, but happiness.
Yes.
Because this feeling of gratitude, and maybe a lot of people, they might misunderstand the power of this word and what this word can do. Mm-hmm. But just gratitude, dude. Like that'll immediately, firstly, that eliminates one of this generation's biggest problem, the problem of entitlement, right? Gratitude eliminates entitlement. It really does. Yeah. Because it makes you grateful for where you're really at and what you've managed to do and where you're fucking living, firstly, right? And you can just begin to dissect. And once you start to, like, if you're confused about how to find gratitude in a situation, dissect the shit out of it.
Well, I think step one would be, look at your tribe, look at your circle, and look at how you're using social media. So are you using social media and are you using social media to scroll and see what everyone is up to? Or are you using social media to follow people who are positive and give you something good?
Yeah.
It's shifting and learning how to separate yourself from the things that no longer serve you. Every 7 years, we're evolving into a whole new human. Yeah. And so every 7 years, I always try and analyze, like, where am I in my life? I mean, I'm only 30 years old and I just came into learning all these things, right? So every 7 years from now on, I'm always, okay, what human am I right now? And do I like what I see in the mirror? Do I like the person I'm becoming? And if I'm not, then hurry up and start shifting shit, because if you allow, you get stuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's huge.
And that's where comfort comes in, and then misery comes in, and then misery loves company. So you start,
I know.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's the one thing I do. And I know a lot of people take a lot of bad things from social media. Look, social media is not telling us how we should look. So when somebody says, I don't like social media because I feel like it's just, setting standards for how we should look. No, that's just your perspective on it.
That's you.
That's because that's what you're looking for, right? But if you're looking for social media to feel a sense of enlightenment, you can connect with these people. Yeah. And there is nothing else out there that can literally connect you with somebody that's either similar to you or somebody that can help bring you out of a depression, enlighten you. Like, there's a lot of characters, and eventually it's one of my ambitions to become this kind of character that can, kind of like Jay Shetty is.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like a Jay Shetty kind of guy. See, I don't think I would, but you never know, right? Shave my head, go and do the Buddhist thing or the monk thing.
That's intense.
That's insane. But if that's what it's gonna take, then fuck it, I'll do it, right? But I wanna be to that level where people can seek to me for advice on how to avoid going down that fucking rabbit hole, avoid even thinking about suicide, right? Somebody that people can genuinely connect with, talk to, and learn from, because it takes a special kind of human to teach themselves how to be positive, right?
Yeah. And I think suicide is an easy way out. And in what I've learned from the books that I've read is that when you do end it for yourself, you come right back to it.
Yeah.
So until you learn to stop doing that, because there is no easy way out. You have to learn and grow and evolve.
I think my take on suicide is people aren't trying to end their lives. They're just trying to make the noise stop.
Yes.
You know, and it's not that people don't want to live anymore. They just don't want to hear that noise, whatever that noise is, you know, and I picture it as, you know, all the judgment, right? And aside from judgment, whatever else they got going on in their life, all they hear is that constantly on repeat, and they just want to hear it make the noise stop, you know? But yeah, I want to be that kind of person that like, dude, that's my goal, man. I want to help people. I want to help people shift their perspective on life, shift their thinking, and show them it's really that simple.
Yeah. And you can, and the ultimate purpose for every human being is to help one another. And how do we help one another is by helping yourself. Help yourself be the best person that you could possibly be, because until you learn who you truly are, you can't help anyone else as much as you could if you knew who you truly are, or you were meant to be.
Absolutely.
You know, and only you know who that is.
I love it. I love it. Well, we can go on for hours about this shit.
I know. And you know what's funny is that I really thought that we were going to go into more of the beauty side of things, just because I thought that that's what we were going to do. But we actually went into more of the energy side of things. And I there's a reason for it. And like I was telling you, I don't believe in anything happening just because it happens for a bigger reason. And maybe a lot of people need to hear this. But I would definitely love to get into the beauty side of things eventually, because I think all beauticians are light workers.
Yeah. So what do you mean by light workers?
Light workers are people who shine their light, and they're not afraid to be who they are, and you just radiate who you are, and by being that, you help others. We're here to help one another. I feel like that's what a light worker is you come into your own power and you use it to help other humans.
I like that.
To level them up, you know, and in my workshops, you know, not only do I teach you how to become a lash artist and do what I did, but I also teach you how to come into your own power. Like, who are you really? And let's set some goals so that in your business, you radiate your light in your business as well.
Hell yeah.
So
love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, for all the beginning or all the young girls out there, I think my main advice is to start doing research on something that you would love to do, and look for the person that's already doing it and follow them, and start building your own map of what you want to create, because we're all here to create our own path. And I think that a lot of us don't get taught that.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Couldn't agree more. Well, I'm excited to welcome you back in the future seasons.
I love that.
Yeah, we can dive into a lot more things beauty. And aside from that, I'm sure by the time you come back, you're going to learn so many more things, because you're just that kind of person, and you're just going to teach everybody what you've learned from here to there. And I appreciate you coming on the show, and I hope somebody learned something.
Absolutely.
Where can they find you on social medias?
So on social media, I am on Facebook and on Instagram. It's under Wendie Beauty, and it's with an IE at the end. So Wendie with an IE and Beauty with an IE. So Wendie Beauty. And if you guys have any questions, like, please don't hesitate to send me a message, watch my videos, and I always try and give value to people, because I think that we need to plant the seed to see the shift.
Absolutely. We're going to change this world one person at a time.
Let's do it. I'm so ready. I'm so ready. And I'm so excited to continue to work with you. I know that there's so much to be done in Tucson, and I'm so grateful to be a part, you know, or to have met you. You know, I think we are on the same mission different companies and different what would it be, different categories of business, but ultimately our goal is to help others, and it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Think of me as Nick Fury. I'm just trying to assemble some Avengers and save this shit.
I love that. I love it. Yes.
Hell yeah.
I love being a part of it.
Right on. Well, thank you so much. And thank you guys for listening. All right.
Woo!
That was a good episode.
Yeah.